So Mindsplice Apparatus is such a cool card at reducing your spells cost each turn, but what if your deck has 4 of these and only X cost spells in it? Can we win? Let's find out. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today I'm showing the deck I play when I want to have some good old fun on Arena. It's janky, it's volatile, it wins hard and loses hard, but most importantly it's a blast to play. So let's jump right in and talk about Mindsplice Apparatus. It's a 4-mana artifact with flash that says at the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on it, and instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 generic mana less to cast for each oil counter on it. So here's the crux of our deck. Is it possible to play only X mana spells to fully break this card? Well, let's go over the deck and start with the new cards from Karlov Manor. Doppelgang is an XXX green-blue sorcery that says for each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent. Early on you can copy Mindsplice itself or lands, but later on you get to make several copies of your opponent's creature. This card is truly epic in this deck, as is Outrageous Robbery, one of our win cons, because for X and 2 swamps you exile X cards from the top of your opponent's library, and for the rest of the game you get to play those cards using any mana. Either you find their win cons or you straight up mill them. It's the top end that we strive to find in this deck. So we are limited in our card choice, but the other win cons are with Blue Sun's Twilight, where we get to steal and copy opponent's creatures, and White Sun's Twilight. The mites that this thing produces can poison your opponent out in no time, you gain some serious life back, and you get to clear the board. We normally always want one of these in our opening hands. We do have decent removal though in March of Otherworldly Lights and March of Wretched Sorrow. Slice from Shadows is another card from Karlov Manor. It can't be countered and says target creature gets -X until end of turn. I've got Syncopate to counter spells and Silver Scrutiny to draw lots, and I mean lots of cards. We got 26 lands and that's today's deck. So this deck is crazy. If you get your apparatus down turn 4, you are in a commanding position. I was regularly casting X equals over 20 each turn, and Doppelgang is a lot of fun, as is the Robbery. This deck, like I mentioned, is merely a fun deck to play on the ladder, and it really can't compete with the meta decks everywhere, but you get to do some bonkers turns, and hats off to all my opponents who sit through our turns. I've got some games to show just how the deck can work, so have a watch and let me know what you think. Whilst you're doing that, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, then smash that like button. Your support means the world to this channel, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Alright, on the draw here, and our opening hand is very reasonable as we have our Mindsplice, and we also have some early removal with Slice from the Shadows. Pretty decent X spell for us. We're kind of limited in the spells we can actually jam in this deck. You could always play red if you want to, there's a few there. But I think 4 colours was just enough for me. Put it with a Naturalist here, 2/2 with lifelink. So it looks like they're on the enchantment deck. So I'm not sure how we are going to cope against pretty much any of the decks. The enchantment deck, their ossifications and such like that are going to be pretty useless against our deck. We don't really have creatures. We're going to either mill them or poison them to death. But they do find their Michigo, so they're attacking us with a 5/5 lifelink at that turn. Also, because we're trying to mill them or poison them to death, I also don't care about their life total. But we're just sort of playing our spells, getting to our apparatus and seeing where we are. Once that's on the battlefield, as all of our spells start getting much bigger each turn, we will drop this dog whilst they target that with their Michigo. I don't know why they didn't go for the Naturalist there. Maybe they thought we had a cut down. They obviously don't know that. We can't play cut down in our deck. But there's a Generous Visitor. Okay, so then off to the most explosive start as we find March of Otherworldly Light. Removal is good for us now, but we do have a window open now for our apparatus, which we will drop this turn. They have a Portrait on the battlefield now, which is a 3/3. Well, it will be a 3/3 once their Jukai Naturalist resolves. So we are having a small problem here because they are beating us down. We are on 9. But yeah, we'll drop this. So I'm not panicking. We find a March of Wretched Sorrow. That's a cool card because that is life gain. So we can play that for currently for X equals 4, so we could gain 4 life back. Yeah, and we'll definitely be doing that to make sure we don't die this turn. So we'll let them go to attacks first, and we will shoot. I guess they're 3/3. Not really that bothered about Naturalists. They have 2 of them. We'll get rid of this. Gain 4 life back. Get this off the battlefield. Looks like they have a spell, though. Okay. They're going to flicker it with Touch the Spirit Realm. Fair enough. It does counter our life gain, which is annoying. But so be it. There's a land off the top. So we're on 3 life. They have 6 damage on board. What can we do here? Gonna have to draw a card. Let's just see what we can do. We'll do X equals 1. We need a removal spell. An X removal spell. Okay, we find one in March of Wretched Sorrows. So that is life gain. So yeah, we can use that one. So the apparatus here is allowing our marches to be very cheap, and we will shoot that. But we go back up to 8. So we're still alive, unbelievably. And they shoot us down to 4. They are on 35 though. And off the top, White Sun's Twilight. Oh, there you go. There you go. That is one of our win cons in the deck. So we can do what, X equals 7. Wipe the board, make 7 mites, gain 7 life. And yeah, they scoop that one up as quick as they can. Alright, on the play. Okay, this hand's okay. We have the Mindsplice and then a board wipe on turn 5 or 6. So, well, fingers crossed the opponent doesn't go too crazy here as they play an Evolved Sleeper. Well, we are going to play the tap land. I have a sneaky suspicion that they're just going to evolve this Sleeper rather than play another creature into our deck. And there you go. So it's just a 2/2 coming at us. That is fine by me. Almost feel that that turn for them was quite weak because it's kind of let us back in the game a little bit here. Is after their early creature, we can just slice from the shadows this Sleeper now for X equals 2. Hopefully they go to evolve it even further, and then we almost take up their whole turn here as well. There they go. They've gone for the Sleeper move here. So we will slice that from the shadows. This spell cannot be countered. It's fantastic against the face-down creatures and against Flesh Gorgers, which our opponent might be running. Outrageous Robbery. Okay, well, I want to keep that card. Have a bit of fun with that one. Opponent plays Cavern and they name Phyrexian. Very annoying because we have a Syncopate in our hand. We couldn't counter their Sheoldred there. But I guess we're okay here, aren't we? Because we can just Mindsplice in our end step, and if we find a land next turn, we can White Suns. We can steal their creature. We've got a few different moves. They play a Trespasser. Cavern of Souls, naming Werewolf. So they've clearly had a few spells countered over their time. But it looks like we're up against just mono black. So we'll just drop this apparatus, and as long as we don't die, untap land, that's amazing. Alright, well, we're just going to White Suns here for X equals 5. This is definitely the card you want to be dropping as quick as possible. I mean, we are limited in our choices in this deck, but this is a pretty nice card for us. And suddenly we have a load of creatures on board, and here comes their removal as they cut down one of our mites. Sheoldred joins the party again, but this one we can just nick with our Blue Sun's Twilight and jam. So I really wanted to play the Robbery, but we don't need to right now. We are firmly on the beatdown as we get the opponent down to 18 life, 4 poison counters, a few more attacks with these mites, and we should be golden. We will just end our turn here, and they play another Sheoldred. Okay, that is the 3rd Sheoldred the opponent has played in this game. And we will just still attack with everything here. We find another Blue Sun's Twilight, so we're just going to nick this Sheoldred too. And although it is legendary, so there's no point doing it for X equals 5, we'll get that one out of the way and attack the opponent down. They got up to 8 poison counters, 8 life, and they need to deal with most of our mites here. There are a lot of cards people are playing to deal with 1/1s at the moment. But no, they scoop it up instead. Alright, opponent goes first. This hand is fine. Can I get Outrageous Robbery down for X equals 60? That's what I've been trying to do. That's what I want to do. Opponent plays a swamp. So what land do we want to play? I'm going to play the March. So I do need a green mana down at some point with the headquarters, but don't need it right away. And we can always cycle away that card if we need to, but having Syncopate open is pretty nice for us here. And it looks like they're on Dimir. There is absolutely no chance on this planet that they are playing. We're playing a mirror match. So I'm not sure what they are up to, whether they're just a control deck. Siphoner, okay. So if they've just got removal spells, we should be good. We will march away this 1/1 whilst we have the opportunity. And we go back up to 21. Okay, well, land is pretty okay for us. I don't need another one, though. So I don't really want to flood out too much. Okay, opponent. Are you going to play anything to the board here? Because I'm not entirely sure what we're up against. They've played a Pestilence Siphoner. We'll cycle away our headquarters here. Make sure we have at least one to play, because I do need one green mana for our Doppelgang a bit later on. It's a 4-color deck. Opponent is now on 6 mana, and still not entirely sure. So I'm guessing that they are holding counter magic and removal spells. And the longer this game goes on, the better it is for us. We find a Doppelgang, okay. Okay, and there is our artifact. Right, are we going to be able to resolve this? So I kind of want them to tap out a little bit. We'll play this now. And they might have like a make disappear, but we had 2 mana open there to pay for that. Second copy of Doppelgang, okay. So we'll just pass the turn again. But yeah, we've got our ramp online here. Prologue to Phoresis. Okay, so they are the poison control deck. Gonna be tough if they play lots of like 2-3 mana spells, because our life gain is pretty bad against poison. So we might need to speed up our winning here. So been thinking a while about how much to do Doppelgang, and looking at what card I'm worried about. It's Bring the End In is the counter spell I presume our opponent has. So just looked that up online. Would mean that we pay 2 to resolve that. So I'm Doppelganging here just for the 1. They have a Memory Deluge. Okay, so they may well have a conditional counter spell, but didn't want to overextend too much. So we could have Doppelganged for 2 there, but I'm just certain they would have countered it. Prologue to Phoresis. Okay, so we are on 2 poison now, and here comes a 2/1 bat, the hybrid. Sure. A creature I am absolutely not concerned about. They go to drown their own creature. Okay, so just to get us to 2 poison counters, I'm actually going to syncopate that. I don't know if this is the right play or whatever, but they are tapped out, and we did manage to stay only on the 2 poison counters. We find a Silver Scrutiny, and we have 4 oil counters now on our Mindsplice Apparatus. So I think we'll just pass again. Again, we're okay. We're in a decent shape here. Let's Silver Scrutiny here for 3. See what we can find. So any of the X spells work really well now with our artifacts, as we can just basically just use the colored mana for one of the symbols, the artifacts for the other X costs. We are now on 4 poison. So that's what they're trying to get to. So their conditional counterspell is now just a hard counterspell. Okay. Well, let's try and nick their bird. Actually, let's just think about this. So I'm trying to play around the opponent's spells. So what is on top? There's a robbery. So we've got 2 robberies once we draw that. We also have the Twilight as a win con as well, the White Sun. So let's Doppelgang first. We can Doppelgang here for 2, I think. And then we can copy one of our artifacts and their 2-1. This will maybe prompt the opponent to want to do something in response. And they're certainly thinking about it. Okay, well, that resolved. So we have a load more mana open if we need to use it. And I think what we should do here is use one of these blue suns, because it's just going to hit our graveyard anyway in our discard phase. And we will go after their bat. They have Anoint. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't add any poison counters to me. And we suddenly get hold of their flyer. And let's just Robbery whilst they're tapped out. X equals not 8. X equals 6. I'm pretty bad at working out the X costs for our spells. But yeah, they were tapped out there. So we've got a Reject Imperfection, Celestus, Annoying Root of Affliction, a couple of lands, and Vraska. Okay. So they get rid of their bird. And Vraska's full. Yeah, so they've just got loads of interaction in their hand. We go up to 6 poison, and they draw some cards with their Distorted Curiosity. And we find we get our Outrageous Robbery there. So let's check out our mana. So we have 8 actual mana sources. We have Vraska we can bring back if we need to. We can use our White Sun's Twilight here, I think, to get some... to get one of our sort of win cons online. I think we need to do this. Let's just do X equals 10. If they want to kill 1 or 2 of these mites, so be it. We've got ways to proliferate using our opponent's cards, which would be funny. Yeah, we'll just do X equals 10. This holds open loads of mana for us to do other things. I haven't worked out the exact amounts here. We don't need to when we have such big resources here. Experimental Augury here for the opponent. Proliferate us to 7 poison counters. Brings back their bird. Okay, they have 6 mana open. We have 1 counter spell, their own counter spell. They're going to draw some cards using Distorted Curiosity. The more and more this turn goes on, the more and more I'm thinking we're gonna just about survive it. Here comes the 2-1. They have 3 mana, just the 1 blue open. We should be good here because we're just going to steal their creature and attack with everything on their turn. But let's force them to use up their mana. Let's just Outrageous Robbery here for what 14 is fine. They have to let this go if they've got some kind of removal or whatever. No, they decide to bring the end in there. And this should be good because they are now tapped out and we can just steal that 2-1 off theirs for the 2nd time of this game. And the poison deck that we are facing has been poisoned by our own deck. Alright then, on the play, and this hand is not particularly great. We have a Surveil land, we have our Syncopate open, so let's see how this one goes. Let's Surveil onto a Robbery. Well, nope, don't need that right now. I do want a Robbery though, but not right now. Lawkeeper for our opponent. So it looks like we might be up against a dinosaur deck. Just play a Forest and hold open our Syncopate here. And Paleontologist, well, we can't Syncopate that because they can afford to pay for it using their Lawkeeper. Alright, well, let's drop our untapped land, and we have March available if we wanted to shoot one of these Mana Dorks. Don't see why we should right now. Hulking Raptor, well, I will definitely Syncopate that one. A card I don't want on the battlefield. And suddenly, I think we're actually in not too bad of a position here. Another card draw spell in the Scrutiny, so we'll just play a land, say go. Yeah, I'm thinking about whether to march their Mana Dork now. I think we should just wait. And Fight Rigging, okay, so they are the Fight Rigging sort of dinosaur combo deck. It all depends on what is underneath this card. But it points to them wanting to play some big dinos over the next couple of turns. So we do need to find a way to deal with that. But I guess we have the Twilight available. Opponent goes to put their Fight Rigging trigger onto the Paleontologist, which we will kill with our March of Wretched Sorrow. So we kind of slow them down a little bit there. These little tempo gains here and there really help us as we find our Mindsplice. Alright, well, that's probably our best draw in that exact moment. And their Fight Rigging triggers onto their Lawkeeper. So I'm wondering again if the opponent's just holding removal spells. But we will play our Apparatus and get another one, which is nice. So we'll just pass the turn straight back to our opponent. What do they have here? Alright, they have a Tyrannix Rex. So that can't actually even be countered even if we had a counter spell. So unfortunately we're going to have to take a hit here, aren't we? 9 damage, 4 toxic. Fight Rigging triggers, they find a Galter. Okay, well we could die here if they got 2 T-Rexes in their hand. Nope, just an Itali and a Sun's Avatar. Okay, they don't Atali into anything useful, so I think we're still alive. Whew, we have managed to swerve this. We're going to White Suns next turn. So we're going to gain a load of life back. Gishath triggers another Atali. Okay, can they find a way to do 2 damage to us? Nope. They won't ever find anything useful in our deck unless they want one of these artifacts, which probably doesn't help them anyway. And we don't have a choice here but to clear the board. So what are we on? We're on X equals 6. That'll put us on 8. We're still dead to a T-Rex. I guess they can't actually afford it. Yeah, X equals 6, I think. No, X equals 6, not 8. There we go. X equals 6. I think this is the best way to stay alive. If they find a T-Rex, we're going to be in trouble with only 8 alive, but so be it. They do find a Paleontologist, though. I guess that can exile cards from their graveyard, and they can recast those, as long as the Paleontologist is on the battlefield. So we need a removal spell. We have a lot of mana with the artifacts here to use Silver Scrutiny to find us a removal spell for the Paleontologist. Opponent here is digging around in their graveyard. So they've got Atali and T-Rex, so maybe kind of greedy. They've got 7 drops. If we find a way to deal with the Paleontologist, surely they're just going to die. Alright, well, let's just go to attacks. See if they block. If they block, we will Aganjo. If not, we will Scrutiny and look for a March. Well, they block, so let's Aganjo away their Paleontologist here. We get 5 poison damage through to our opponent. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they are going to die here because they need a way to deal with our mites. I guess we can just Scrutiny for 5 mana whilst we wait, leaving 1 mana open in case we need to find a March there. And opponent is drawing into a Hulking Raptor. Not a bad card, but they are dead on board as we can attack for 5 poison damage. Nice. Alright, on the play. This hand is it's very mediocre. I think we mulligan this one. We're very much going to be on the back foot. This hand is better. We'll put a Robbery to the bottom. Again, I do want a Robbery in my hand, but okay, there's a Robbery on top. Alright, well, I think we're just going to keep that one. I don't have black mana, but next turn we're going to want to be playing a tap land anyway. So we're not doing anything this turn. Syncopate. Syncopate's not too bad. But yeah, we're a kind of a turn behind here of what I really want to be doing. Opponent, though, didn't play a spell, so we can Syncopate here for 1 if they play a 3-mana Dinosaur, but they played Cavern of Souls, so I couldn't Syncopate that. Okay, Cavern of Souls being the bane of my existence today is a card that I am struggling to deal with. I unexpectedly struggled to deal with it. I didn't even think about it when I was setting up the deck. But again, we don't have too many options with X, because against 6/6s, X generally would have to be at 6. March can do X for 3 to get rid of one of these Hammer Skulls. But we're just not got a board state that I'm happy with. Another Mindsplice on top. Looking for a board wipe, really. Yeah, we can take care of one of these creatures of theirs. But again, I really want to get the Apparatus down. Do we go down to 2? I don't know. Is that too greedy? I think the Cavern of Souls has ruined us a little bit here. But our deck is very janky compared to theirs. Obviously, I don't want to be playing Slice from the Shadows in a deck if I can help it. It's a card I didn't even know existed until a couple of days ago when I checked for X spells on Arena. Incidentally, if you are searching on Arena for X spells, you want to type M:X. It will bring up all the X mana spells on Arena. They find a Dracosaur, and yeah, we're pretty dead, aren't we? No way we're coming back from this. We'll let them go to attacks, and we'll just show them what we were up to by apparatusing. But there's nothing we can do here. This is the problem of our deck. Once we're up against any deck that is pretty good, we are going to die pretty quickly, but our deck is kind of janky. It's a deck that I like to play on Arena when I just want to combo off. Alright then, on the draw. And our hand here is perfectly adequate. A couple of removal spells, and our Apparatus is exactly what we want as opponent plays a Copperloan Gorge. So our game plan here looks like we are going to just try and hang in there until we can get the Apparatus down. So fingers crossed our opponent is playing some creatures we can actually interact with. Scrap Gorger, not so much with its 3 toughness. It is a pretty nice way to swerve our Slice from the Shadows. I don't know if I like Slice from the Shadows, but like I said, it is our only kind of options here. Opponent with twists and turns, okay. To explore their Scrap Gorger. One to the bottom, it is Atali. Okay, so they didn't want Atali on top of their deck. Suggests to me that they have one in their hand. And they are going to attack us with this Scrap Gorger. At some point, I'm going to want to kill this because it is a ramping creature for them as well. But let's pass the turn. We could always steal it if we want to and start ramping away with it ourselves. And opponent names Dinosaur, so looks like maybe some kind of dinosaur ramp deck as they find Bushwhack. So Dinosaur Ramp was my #1 favourite deck from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. And that was only changed to #2 when I started playing this one. I will link the Dinosaur Ramp deck into the corner. It is amazing. We are looking to get Atali down on like turn 4 or 5, copying its triggers with Roaming Throne. So yeah, pretty nice deck, but it's gone to the wayside whilst I play this X-Spells deck, which is the deck I play all the time when I'm not necessarily recording videos. Opponent with Nissa here, Ascended Animist. And that's going to be a bit of a nightmare for our Mindsplice. So we're going to have to kill that as quick as possible, really. Not just the fact it's going to give pretty much overrun to all their creatures, but it is going to destroy our game plan. So we'll drop our Mindsplice here, and we do have a way to deal with that with the March of Wretched Sorrow. We don't have green mana at the moment for Doppelgang, so it might be a case soon where I have to steal their Scrap Gorger just to make a copy of a forest of the opponents. But let's march here for 7. Gain 7 life back. Get rid of one of these Slice from the Shadows and take care of Nissa, which can destroy artifacts. So is a nemesis of us. But we are on 25 life. So this is not looking too bad right now. They are slowly getting up to the mana needed to cast potentially that Atali, which I'm pretty sure they've got in their hand. Otherwise they would never have put Atali into their graveyard. We find a Doppelgang. So we still need green mana. So let's surveil with our sewers and see what we can find on top. Outrageous Robbery. All right, well, that's a good card to have for next turn. We can take from the opponent's deck and maybe take a forest from there. But we can steal their token here, their 6/6. Done X equals 1, it is X equals 0. But so be it. It's Volcanic Spire. Are they just going to kill it? No, just to loot away a card there. Okay. So they are hunting for something. I think it's mana. I think they just want to get to 7 mana. But yeah, we'll just... I think we're just going to slice away this 4/4. Get this off the battlefield. This slows them down even further as it takes away their mana dork. But we can't have this attacking us every turn. We do have a 6/6 though, so we have some ball presence that they have to deal with. We find Outrageous Robbery. Okay, well, we'll just whack them with the 6/6 and we will play our robbery. Good job we are playing up against a green deck, as they name it Dinosaur with Cavern of Souls. And yeah, this is going to be X equals 7 here. And what do we find? What goodies from the opponents? Invasion Zendikar, some lands, Play with Fire, Bushwhack, Virtue. Okay, well, we'll take the forest. Then I'm just going to make a whole ton of token copies of the 6/6. So we can do X equals 3 here. I don't really care for their enchantment. Let's get our Surveil land to try and fix our draws for the next turn. So we have 4 6/6s on the battlefield now. Don't really want a Twilight. I don't really want Reef. In fact, I'm not entirely sure what I want. I probably want a Robbery. And we'll hit the opponent for 6 here. Can they deal with this board before it deals with them? So this is a great example of how our deck works. They did have a Tali in their hands. There we go. What do they find? Do they have a way to just kill us straight up? Maybe. Invasion of Zendikar and March of Wretched. Sorry, I don't think that's going to do it. Our X-Cost spell's pretty bad with Atali, and they are going to die. And yeah, I was really proud of how our deck went there. We just needed that green mana, and once we got it, we were able to take that opponent down.